Dhananjay Joshi to explain the numbers. But before that, let's take a look at the methodology for Tamil Nadu. The survey was conducted between the 4th and the 12th of April 2014. The sample size is 1,358 voters across 100 locations in the state. 50 out of the 234 constituencies have been sampled. Respondents have been selected from the official electoral rolls, which means it's not a random sample, but a systematic random sampling that has been done by this ISERO team. Let's now put out first the caste and community breakup of the voters of Tamil Nadu. And we start with the Brahmins and the upper caste vote, which seems to be split between the AIADMK alliance and the DMK alliance, Dhananjay.
Right. So the upper caste votes are split between these two alliances, whereas the big gains are for the AIADMK. It gains 19%, so practically it has doubled its vote share.
But what we'll also see as we move along is the AIADMK gaining across communities, because it's also doing much better than it did in the 2009 election.
Right. And the other big story is that because the alliance between the Congress and the DMK has been split, that is why the DMK still gains, whereas the Congress loses across
in every
sections.
caste. Let's take a look at the next community that we're looking at, the Thevars. Dhananjay, explain these numbers to our viewers.
Well, Thevars are a dominant peasant caste in Tamil Nadu, and here we see that again Jayalalitha's AIADMK gains a lot amongst Thevars. The DMK still holds ground. In Tamil Nadu, what happens is that amongst these dominant castes, both the DMK and the AIADMK have a strong vote base. It is a section of these voters who swing on either side from election to election, and that becomes a decisive factor.
Depending also on the alliance that's been stitched, because what I'm very keen on looking at
and of course
is
local
the
issues.
Massive alliance that the BJP has put together, because there was expectation earlier that Jayalalitha and Modi would be on the same ticket or could ally after the elections. We're seeing them fight instead. Let's come to the next community that we're looking at, the Mudaliyars. Dhananjay.
Well, here DMK is ahead of
just marginally.
Just marginally, but then Mudaliyars are a community which have traditionally been more with the DMK than with the AIADMK. But again, it is a good election for Jayalalitha, so the gains for the AIADMK are big, whereas Karunanidhi seems to be just holding ground in this community.
Okay, let's now look at some of the backward castes, beginning with the Vaniyars.
Big numbers for AIADMK, and Vaniyars are a dominant OBC caste, very numerologically, so in terms of pure numbers, they influence in a lot of constituencies, and this number would certainly benefit Jayalalitha a lot. Again, a close contest, only 10% gap between AIADMK and DMK.
Let's now take a look at the Nadars and the other OBC castes. We've aggregated them as a pool. Dhananjay, explain these numbers.
AIADMK leading, BJP alliance getting a substantial number. If you look at it, 17 and 23, it's well within the margin of error. And here again, the DMK loses though only 1%, but this is one of the small one of those sections of the electorate where the DMK actually loses some ground.
Let's take a look at the Dalit voters of Tamil Nadu.
Well, the same trend, Rahul. AIADMK, it's AIADMK's big election, and that is why everywhere the AIADMK's gains are substantial.
Okay, let's take a look at the Muslims of Tamil Nadu and how they would vote in this election.
Well, this is all that Congress is left with. Here too, the Congress loses 6 percentage points, but it still gets more than 1/4 of the Muslim vote. AIADMK doesn't. DMK loses a lot, and the Congress has probably, this is the only community where the Congress has some vote base. Others, which has a lot of smaller parties, focus on Muslim and Dalits, which get
Thanks, Dhananjay. We'll play out next the region-wise breakup of vote share across Tamil Nadu, but I want our guests to give us their sense of the overall numbers that have been put out, starting with Ashok Lahiri. We're seeing broadly the AIADMK gain across castes. We're seeing the Congress lose across castes, and we're seeing the BJP alliance not doing particularly well, not enough by any stretch of imagination to give Jayalalitha much of a fright.
Rahul, you've correctly pointed out that there is uniformity in the numbers. In fact, what strikes me is that given that the sample size is about 1350, what strikes me is that the BJP alliance's percentage is between 14 to 21. The only community where it's not getting much is among the Muslims. The INCs is between 10 and early teens. It's not getting much support from the Thevars and the Vanyars. That is standing out, but small sample. And the AIADMK, I find that only the Mudaliyars are standing out and they're not supporting AIADMK. But the other interesting thing that I found that PMK's Ramados has joined BJP alliance. And in spite of that, BJP is losing 3%. You can rule it out as a small sample, 1350. What is the proportion of the Vanyars in the sample? So it could be that -3 is an aberration. But that did strike me that it's it's not getting as much of the Vanyar votes.
This alliance of disparate parties that's been stitched together by the BJP. Now, they have contradictory interests. Their positions on several major issues are different from each other. Will they be able to transfer their vote to the NDA alliance?
See, I think we've got to look at it in one way. As I look at Tamil Nadu politics, it's a huge cake divided between two parties which hog the basic share. What BJP can do is to play the politics of addendums. And it's done it rather well. On its own, it wouldn't have much of a leeway. With Vaiko and Ramdas there, it will collect enough morsels to be maybe significant.
Okay, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy is also joining us on this broadcast. Dr. Swamy, we saw in Andhra Pradesh the BJP-TDP alliance doing reasonably well, in fact giving YSR, Congress and also the TRS a run for their money. The same not happening in Tamil Nadu. Is this what you were expecting as well? If you could just hold the mic, please.
Well, I've agreed with your earlier comment that there has been a question of how much vote transfers can take place. For example, the Brahmin vote, which is in pockets substantial, would definitely not vote for Vaiko. And certainly the same thing with scheduled castes. With the PMK there's a very deep animosity after the 1 year Dalit riots that took place in Dharmapuri.
The Dharmapuri killings.
So I think, frankly speaking, there is a definite change in the demography of Tamil Nadu, where young professionals have come up who think of themselves as more national than Tamil. And that vote, I think this alliance, which BJP has stitched together, has got muted response, and most of them have, particularly amongst the upper caste, have gone to the ADMK. But nevertheless, because of the strategic pooling of the votes, BJP alliance would get 4 to 5, 6 seats.
Don't give away our seat share numbers just yet. We'll come to that in a moment. But
well, that's my estimate. I
that's
don't know
your
what
estimate. You don't know what our figures are as well. Okay, that's very good. Also joining us on this program is Sumant Raman, leading political analyst from Chennai. T.S. Sudhir is still with us. We saw in Andhra Pradesh, Sudhir, a very sharp aggregation of votes as a consequence of Chandrababu Naidu-Modi alliance. The same doesn't seem to be happening in Tamil Nadu, even amongst those communities that the BJP allies come from. They're not being able to aggregate the votes. Why is it not working in the way that it did in Andhra Pradesh?
Well, the BJP has stitched together this rainbow coalition in Tamil Nadu, which are much smaller Dravidian parties compared to the two main Dravidian parties, the DMK and the AIADMK. And in many senses on the ground in Tamil Nadu, Rahul, this is still being seen as an extrapolation of a state election. They still see the DMK and the AIADMK as the two main players, because they know that whoever actually gets more seats will invariably become part of the power matrix in New Delhi. We have seen the DMK being part of earlier the NDA government and thereafter the UPA government. So they have seen that the two Dravidian parties, whoever gets more seats from Tamil Nadu, gets part of the union government in Delhi. So in that sense, they are focusing more on the AIADMK and the DMK. The coalition that the BJP has managed to stitch up, while it looks extremely good on paper, whether that kind of a situation is happening on the ground where actually the transfer of votes will take place effectively, that remains a major concern, because in terms of ideology, many of these players are extremely different from each other, and more importantly different from the BJP. BJP, and people, the voters, are concerned about that difference in ideology. For instance, the kind of views that someone like MDMK chief Vaiko holds are very, very different from the kind of views that Subramanian Swamy of the BJP holds. So how that really works on the ground in terms of campaigning together would be a major point of concern for the BJP alliance.
It's the height of opportunism, Dr. Swamy, this alliance that you've stitched. Now, if there were to be an NDA meeting, how do you and Vaiko, and we've had the both of you on a program together, yelling, screaming, shouting, how do the two of you do business together? It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it's very simple. I've decided not to go to Tamil Nadu at all during the elections. That's the
What
way.
happens after that?
Well, after that, it's an open question, because Vaiko says that he's in favor of the Setu Samudram project. We are dead against it. It means
that's not your only problem with him.
Well, there are a lot of problems.
The Sri Lanka issue.
The LTT, yeah, sure. But I don't think that his numbers are going to make any much difference to our overall numbers.
So you're suggesting that the BJP will dump him after the election?
Well, if either he plays along or he leaves.
That's the Subramaniam Swamy threat. Is Narendra Modi
yes,
on board while you make that threat, or that's Subramaniam Swamy's solo threat?
Yeah, well, I will certainly be, will do my best to see that this becomes the point of view.
Mr. Raman, this is something that intrigues me no end. How do a bunch of people who fight against each other, mostly hate each other, would come to blows with each other, come together in an alliance, and that alliance doesn't, even though it's picking up some seats, doesn't seem to be doing particularly well? And why is that? And what do you make of this very strange alliance that Rajnath Singh and Modi have stitched together?
No, I think you would have to look at it from the context of what options some of these other parties had. The MDMK, for instance, couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't go with the DMK. They couldn't go with the AIADMK. So what else to do? They had to tie up with the BJP. Why? The question is, why did the BJP have to tie up with Mr. Vijaykanth? I see one particular strategy, and this has been spoken about right through this election. One of the reasons that the BJP probably agreed to play a very junior partner, effectively they are contesting 6 seats now in Tamil Nadu after the mess that their candidate did in Nilgiri. So they're contesting just 6 seats, giving the lion's share to the allies. And one of the reasons could be that the objective of this entire thing was some kind of a pre-poll understanding between the AIADMK and the BJP that they would have a post-poll alliance and prevent Mr. Vijaykanth's vote from going into the DMK kitty. I think one of the key objectives is to act as a kind of a shock absorber, absorb all these votes so that these votes don't go into the DMK's kitty. On the ground, a DMK, DMDK, VCK, MMK alliance could have been a much more formidable combination than the present breakup of the NDA alliance going alone. Second, you also have to look at it from the way the alliance plays out among the NDA partners. The PMK and the DMDK can't stand each other. Before the elections, I mean, they would even refuse to be seen in the same public occasion. So you've got to look at it from that perspective, that the transfer of votes from the DMK to from the DMDK to the PMK and vice versa is very unlikely to happen. It's more likely that where a PMK candidate stands, the DMDK voters may go to the DMK, and similarly where the DMDK voters stand, the PMK votes may go there. The other important issue we have to look at is what Mr. Cho Ramasamy has written about recently, known to be very close to the BJP as well as to the AIADMK, and he's actually said in constituencies where the BJP is contesting, vote for the BJP. Everywhere else, don't vote for the NDA allies, vote for the AIADMK. So maybe there is a story there as well that we've got to keep in mind.
No, but if it were that simple, Mr. Raman, then why would Jayalalitha send Narendra Modi on this wild goose chase? Just say, you contest a few seats, after the elections I'm willing to do business. Clearly, the BJP's worry is that Jayalalitha will not come on board easily, which is why they're having to stitch this alliance. Are you suggesting that the stitching of the alliance is also as part of a larger game plan between Modi and Jayalalitha?
My personal perception of that is that simply because you must look at it from the context of how keen the DMK was to have the DMDK on board as part of its alliance. Almost every day, one of the DMK's alliance partners was making a beeline to Mr. Vijaykanth and saying, please join, please join, please join. The DMK patriarch himself came out and said that he would be happy if the DMDK tied up with them and so on. So one of the key objectives was to keep that 6-7% of DMDK vote or whatever remains of that away from going into the DMK's kitty. Which also explains why the BJP agreed to be a very junior partner in this particular alliance. But I think from a perspective of the alliance itself, if you look at it minus the Modi effect, this is a total of 13% or so. If you look at the BJP's vote share is about 3.5% in Tamil Nadu. If you look at the MDMK, that's another 3, the PMK about 5, and then the DMDK 6 or 7. So less than 15% is the vote they command. And that's really not enough to win any significant number of seats. But I think the strategy is to keep this vote away from going into the DMK's kitty.
Okay, very interesting conspiracy theory there. Sudhakan, senior journalist from Chennai, also joining us. We're seeing Mr. Raman suggest, Mr. Sudhakan, that the alliance between Jayalalitha and the BJP might still happen after the elections. Is that your sense as well, that this alliance, unholy contradictions, is part of a larger game plan, Mr. Sudhakan?
100% it is clearly understood. If you see the campaigning pattern of Jayalalitha, she started attacking the BJP only a few days back. Till such time, her only target was Congress and the DMK. Everybody clearly understood. Then one of the Muslim partners, they withdrew from the AIADMK alliance. And Modi also, when his first campaign in Chennai, in Meenambakam, he clearly said both the DMK and the AIADMK fighting each other, and they are not bothered in the interest of the state. So it is getting, Jayalalitha thought the vote share is being polarized by the BJP alliance, and we may also lose the minority vote. Then she started her first salvo. She said the Congress and the BJP are together regarding the Kaveri water issue. Both of them are not interested in the welfare of Tamil Nadu people. That was the first salvo. Then she started accusing the Modi. It's all, she has to woo the minority voters, which she doesn't want the DMK to capitalize that. As my friend Suman already said, it is a large conspiracy of everyone to see that this vote share doesn't go to DMK. So you may ask me why Jayalalitha, as Mr. Suman suggested earlier, why Ms. Jayalalitha did not have Modi on her side. She had a bitter experience in 2004. She had an alliance with BJP at that time. Because of the minority votes, she has to lose in Tamil Nadu, which that risk she doesn't want to take in this election. See, when compared to the All India level field, Tamil Nadu is totally a different one. This minority, wooing of the minority votes after the Dravidian party's elevation in Tamil Nadu is much more. It's very hypersensitive, which both the Dravidian parties know they cannot antagonize the minority votes. So Jayalalitha wanted to keep a safe distance from BJP to say I am also a secular party. She kept her options
No, but that
open.
would change if Jayalalitha goes and allies with Modi after the elections. There's also an assembly election to be fought, but very, very interesting dynamics being suggested by our guests. I need to slip into a quick break. When we come back, we look at the region-wise vote share percentages of the major regions of Tamil Nadu. We'll also get you the overall vote share and seat share projections done by Cicero and Ashok Lahiri for the India Today group from Battle.